The 1977 adventure film, The Deep, was a movie that was based on Peter Benchley's novel from 1976 that bears the same name. It finds David, played by Nick Nolte, and Gail, played by Jacqueline Bisset, taking in a gorgeous spot for diving during a romantic getaway to Bermuda after they end up stumbling upon an ampule of morphine from a sunken World War II freighter. They soon end up in the crosshairs of a Haitian drug gang headed by Louis Gossett Jr.'s character called Cloche. Before they can blink real fast, David and Gail find themselves working with veteran treasure seeker Romer Treese, played by Robert Shaw. Their goal is to nab this treasure before Cloche and his men can get their hands on it. The original concept for this movie and the book was based on a story about a Bermuda shipwreck called the Constellation, which sank in 1942. It carried ampules of morphine, among other cargoes for war, such as concrete and other pharmaceuticals. It's thought that it sank possibly after striking the wreckage known as the Montana, which caused them to sink one on top of another. Filming began in July of 1976 with open water diving sequences off Black Rock Point, Salt Island, near Peter Island, the location of the real shipwreck, RMS Rhone, in the British Virgin Isles. By August of '76, the production was filming land sequences on location in Bermuda. They also filmed other scenes at the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. The Rhone, which sank in 1867, caused around 125 of her crew to lose their lives. It broke into two pieces during the sinking, and the movie was filmed on the bow section of the ship, which is located about 75 feet underwater, with most of this film being shot underwater, or at least a good portion of it. Jacqueline Bisset, Nick Nolte, Robert Shaw, and the director Peter Yates all had to learn how to scuba dive. It would be next to impossible to pull this off unless you had some experience with a dive tank on your back. In the beginning of the film, Jacqueline Bisset's character, as she's diving, reaches underneath part of this shipwreck and gets her arm yanked by a big green moray eel, which causes her to scream in pain. Now this, as you watch this, is an excellent special effect. It's pretty violent. In real life, her stunt double, Jackie Kilbride, dislocated her shoulder doing this scene. Next time you watch it, pay really close attention to it, because this is some pretty intense yanking that's being done to her body. A diver that was hiding inside the wreck was told to pull the stick really hard that was attached to her wrist outside of the camera's view. When the stick appeared, he pulled with all his might, as he was instructed to do. This scene was done in one take with multiple cameras, so there was no chance or need for repeating it. Robert Shaw was paid $650,000 plus percentage points for starring in the film. He also said that this was the first time in his career that he ever committed himself to doing a movie before he ever read the script. People ask, why'd you do it this time? And he states that it was just basically on instinct. He thought that the production had terrific potential, and it just smelled like a winning film from the very beginning. His character of the lighthouse keeper and diving and treasure expert, Romer Treese, was inspired by the real-life treasure seeker, diver Teddy Tucker. He helped Peter Benchley write the novel. He was also hired as a special consultant to the production, and also appeared in the movie playing the harbor master. The film has some pretty amazing statistics that go with it. The shoot ran for 153 days. They conducted 8,895 dives, spending 10,870 person hours underwater. Originally, Peter Yates, the director, didn't think that Nick Nolte was right for the film, and Nick Nolte himself wasn't particularly interested in doing it as well. He perceived it as kind of a bland lead part. Columbia Picture executives weren't interested in him at all either. They believed that he wasn't a big enough star with enough box office clout to headline an expensive blockbuster movie. But the producer of the film, Peter Guber, wanted Nolte for this part. He said there was a very tense meeting in a conference room that went on between all the parties involved. There they were sitting with the actor that the studio didn't want, discussing a part he had already rejected with a filmmaker who decided he wasn't right for the role anyway. Nick Nolte sensed that he wasn't wanted for the film, but they continued to talk anyway. As they discussed the film, Nolte became intrigued with the changing of the character and also the challenges involved of working underwater. The director slowly warmed up to Nick Nolte as a possibility for this film. Finally, after 2 hours of talking, the director reached across the table to Nick and said, "You're the man for me. I want you to star in this film." And Nolte said yes. Now, reportedly, at the beginning of the film, Jacqueline Bisset and Nick Nolte didn't get along at all. They struggled working together. But as filming continued on, this all developed into a romantic relationship for most of the production schedule. This pleased the director completely because he felt like this would contribute to the chemistry that they needed for the film. The movie's main movie poster mimicked the poster from Jaws. Instead of a killer shark at the bottom of the sea and a girl on top of the water swimming, the poster featured a girl where the shark would have been positioned and looking like she was struggling to swim to the top. Accompanied by the suspense tagline, "Is anything worth the terror of the deep?" To cast the role of Gail Burke, a major talent search was conducted to find a new, bright, unknown young actress. They had wall-to-wall appointments with sweet young things with the always obliging Nick Nolte. This whole star search proved pointless. The key production personnel still wanted Jacqueline Bisset in this role. She had been long considered for it at the very beginning, and they just couldn't shake her star quality, charisma, and presence on the screen. There's no doubt that Jacqueline Bisset made this film as popular as it was. Her opening scene is just stunning. It was the talk around everybody that saw the film. That's the first thing that came out of people's mouths as they discussed it, as we're introduced to her diving with her boyfriend Nick at the beginning of the film, as she wears a black bikini bottom and a see-through wet t-shirt. There's no doubt that her portrayal in this film turned her into a Hollywood sex symbol and contributed to a big word of mouth for the movie, which greatly assisted in its box office success. The producer of the film allegedly said that t-shirt made him a rich man. Take some time to go back and look at this fun movie from the 70s. It'll make you remember why Jacqueline Bisset shocked audiences with her opening scenes. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.